Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back here with part two of my Christmas shopping list and dreams and whatnot for um, Italian teams called Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Salernitana, and Serie A, the Italian top league generally, and Italian soccer, we'll say for Saturday, um, and also Celtic. Initially, I was just going to cover Sampdoria, and I thought that was like. I think that was last week, and then I thought, I think it was last week, and then, I was thinking about it, covering it for today, and then I thought it would fit in quite ideally if it was like if I covered Sampdoria and then Sassuolo and then Salernitana, but then I wanted to cover charitable ideas on the 23rd, and so that would have ruined that pattern. So anyway, I like things to be just so, but I thought of an idea. I suddenly thought I could do is just cover all those different teams in one. So that was my brainwave. Anyway, sorry for the nice live story, but I did put like on Facebook, I put feeling anxious because I worry if my content is any good, or I worry about repeating myself too much, or telling nice life stories rather than getting to the point and stuff, rather than getting to the point and that kind of thing. So with that being said, having said that, whatever, I hope you enjoy this and it's not as cringeworthy as I fear or whatever. I suppose I'm quite a critic of myself sometimes, perhaps. But I wouldn't say I'm my own worst critic, because there are probably even bigger critics of me. And on that note, I fear that also on the Celtic official YouTube channel, I was like posting comments on my views, and then I was sharing some Celtic related content, and I fear my punctuation. I get embarrassed on about my punctuation, but I do struggle to change it. But anyway, I'm going to crack on with the list. I know last time I did try and get it down to 10 minutes, but unfortunately it was about 12 minutes. So hope I can do better than that. I thought I'd make one more video before I have my show. I know I'm uploading quite quickly, but in quick succession, in other words. But here goes. So number 11, these are ideas number 11 to 20 for anyone who might be tuning in who haven't seen my other videos. One idea I had, one vision I had, and all that kind of thing is what if Sampdoria and other Italian teams, Serie A teams, Sassuolo, Salernitana, and others, supported startups in developing nations or former colonies, what I call the Six. So indigenous people, supporting indigenous people from Africa, Australasia, the Americas, Asia and Ireland, and also supporting Latin Americans, or even disadvantaged communities generally, like helping them to funding them to support their own businesses, or supporting many different charitable works, like supporting funding into science, cures for illnesses, medicine, and things like that. I think that would be good for their PR. So it could be something that benefits the club. I often talk about loss leading sort of things, loss leading items, or whatever you call it. It's not a term I made up, but so I can't take credit for that. But it's something where business invests in something at a loss, but in the longer term it makes more money. You know what I mean? I think on that note, actually, it does remind me of Celtic's situation. I was thinking that Celtic should spend big in January, in the transfer window, and not worry about spending too much money, because I fear the board is like scrimping on money, but actually in the longer run that probably makes you less money, if you know what I mean. So I don't think they're being very sensible, because if you don't invest enough, then if your opposition wins the league, they get a lot of prize money, which you miss out on. So I'd love to know what fellow Celtic fans think on that point, and also similar with Italian fans as ever, or even football fans, generally soccer fans, or any Americans out there, say. And again, as it's a Saturday. Anywho, moving on, talking about not wanting to be too long on each point. Number 12, I'd love for Italian football, Serie A, to have more prize money. So I'd love for investors like Alphabet. I forgot to mention in part one, there's always something I forget pretty much, but I forgot to mention Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google. I would love for them and others, so many different banks and businesses, to invest in the Italian league, so that Serie A could carry a lot of prize money. So for winning if I'm really dreaming, I would love for Serie A to have a prize money of like 1 or even 2 billion for winning the league, and then teams get obviously gradually less than that, but they still get a lot of money even for like coming last. So just like the EPL has, the English Premier League, that is of course, has more money and more prize money. Like just for getting into the EPL, you have I think it's 110 million or something. I thought it'd be cool if Italian football could reverse that or become the new EPL. So as it used to be in the 90s. So I'd love to attract that investment from wealthy owners like Alphabet, who could have the money to risk investing in the league, so they get more prize money and things like that. But although I would also love for Alphabet to invest in AC Milan, perhaps, although I'd love for Google to invest in Italy's oldest football club, I believe, which is Genoa. And number 13, I'd say I hope these videos are not too cringeworthy. I also hope, number 14, I also hope that Italian football and Celtic can address its issues, any negative things that it has in Serie A or Italian clubs specifically, and Celtic respectively. I hope they can address those issues. Number 15, I'd say I would love for Genoa to invest in Google, and I'd love for people to find out facts about Italian football, like what Italy's oldest club is, facts about different derbies and different sort of games, facts about the league itself, and all sorts of things about Italian soccer history and Italian soccer stories and things like that. For some reason, when I say soccer, I always put it in speech marks, but I know people in England don't like soccer that much. Which brings me on to point number 16. I was thinking, what if Italian football and Celtic maybe even had like Serie A Soccer Limited, Italian Soccer Limited, and Celtic Soccer Limited, which would be specifically, my vision is for that to be used, for those things to be used to promote Italian soccer and Celtic FC in the American market, or places where they use the term soccer, and maybe even promoting Italian football and Celtic or Italian soccer for Calcio or whatnot in different countries in different languages. So in Hindi, Punjabi, Cantonese, Mandarin, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and all possible languages. Some say that one of the problems Italian football has compared to, say, English football, and why the EPL does so well, is because of the language barrier. So most people can speak English around the world, or certainly a lot of people can speak English compared to Italian, much more than Italian. So it can reach further markets. So I'd love to find ways that Italy can use its own advantages and maybe try and market it more in English to reach those markets, and also in other languages. I think it kind of does that to an extent, but maybe it could do it even more, just to find all sorts of ways to market the brand Serie A. Number 17, as I say, I'd love for Italian teams to, for Serie A and the Coppa Italia and other events, if I'm really dreaming, to have as much prize money as possible. If I could, I would love for, I know it's going to sound nuts, but if I'm really dreaming and honest, I would love for Italian football to have trillions, or even to have trillions as well, which would be amazing to see what they could achieve if they had all that money. Certainly they'd dominate Scottish football, although I suppose from a neutral's point of view, in Scottish football they might say they'd love to see other Scottish teams have money so they can compete with Celtic and Rangers. But obviously I'm a bit biased as a Celtic fan, so I would love for Celtic to have as much money as possible. If I could have a magic wand, so to speak. Well, I'm not a big fan of magic, but if I could have some sort of way, I would love for Celtic to have billions or even trillions, if I'm really dreaming. But I know, I'm nuts. Number 18, I'd love for Italian football and Celtic to market all the positive things they do, like what they do in the community and the positive things about Italian football. Like, I think Italian football is quite passionate, colourful. I'm probably a bit biased in this, but I think they have the best kits, even though I'm not that into fashion. I always think they have the most colourful kits, possibly some of the best names in football as well. Like, I think AC Milan is quite glamorous and things like that. So I'd love to know what neutral fans think about that. Like, they might disagree. They might say Spanish teams have better kits or better names or whatever. But from a biased point of view, I think Italian teams have probably some of the best names and some of the best kits and things like that. When I say names, I mean the way their name sounds, I think, are quite cool. I don't necessarily mean they have the biggest names or whatnot. Number 19, as I often say, I would love for Italian teams and Celtic to support software developers in those nations I talked about, especially in Africa and Australasia, or black software developers and things like that. And it could, it could be a loss leading production, or whatever the word is, or whatever the word I'm looking for is. So it would be it would be good for PR. So it's just like any sponsor puts money in. Obviously, initially you lose money. If you think about any business, I suppose you put money in. Initially you lose money, and then you hope to make it back. That's the way I see it. And number 20, I also help young people, and that would include in education, like African nations in STEM and things like that, Indigenous Australasians in STEM. And again, I hope that will improve the image of Italian football, and I hope they can get as much money, and Celtic as well, as much money as possible legally. So I hope I didn't forget anything, but if I did, I'll probably try. The good thing about showers as well as walking is it helps you to refresh your mind. I think walking and showers are two things that help to refresh your mind. Sometimes even if you're tired and you go to sleep, when you wake up, you're even more tired than when you started. But if you go for a walk, or if you have a shower, although I normally have mine at night, but they sort of refresh the mind. So sometimes if I'm stressed, or I've got ideas overload, I'm trying to decide which idea to go for, to put into practice or work on or whatever. In other words, I go for a walk, or I go for a shower, or whatnot. Anyway, I'm waffling, I know. I am out. Peace and love.